Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have a very interesting article and I have to make a little disclaimers here. First, the article comes from a Arab source, and I don't think that Arab source is very positive towards Israel. Therefore, we have to be careful that this could be very much skewed in a certain direction. This media outlet is Al Mayadin. I use it a lot of times. I use the Jerusalem Post as well, so I'm trying to balance as much as I can in all sides. But these guys make some claims, and there's no way for me to really verify them. But I will read it and share with you. Raises some questions, and there are certain things that I heard about them from Ukrainska Pravda, which is a Ukrainian outlet which would not lie to us, and which is kosher. You know what I mean? You use those Ukrainska Pravda or the New Voice of Ukraine, which are Ukrainian sources. That's accredited. That's okay. So I'm just cautioning you that this might be a skewed article in certain ways. Why? Because this article really refers to Israel as, it puts in a quotation mark, Israel, and it uses instead of saying Israel, sometimes it says Israel occupation. That's how they call it, instead of saying Israel, no, or Israeli occupation. So that's how they refer to them. So anyway, it doesn't matter the semantics. I don't give a shit about them, just so you know. If they call them Bibi or Lala or Lulu, I don't care. We know who you're talking about. I don't care. But here are the two titles here. One is sounds like this: Israeli mercenaries and weapons in Ukraine. That's one. And the other title is Israel pressured to deliver millions in strategic materials to Kiev. I will start with the mercenary one first, and then go into just ooze into the next one. So Israeli mercenaries, weapons in Ukraine. It says that last April 2022, videos shared on social media appeared to show several Israelis fighting alongside Ukrainian forces and thanking, quote-unquote, Israel for its assistance. The videos, which went viral, showed the men dressed in Ukrainian military uniforms in an unspecified forested area. Hundreds of Israelis are thought to have traveled to Ukraine to join volunteer units following the war in Ukraine, but the exact number are unknown. That was verified by other sources as well. There are a lot of Israelis, but remember, a lot of Israelis from, like Zelensky, Israelis from Ukraine immigrated to the promised land, Israel, and then now they go back to fight they have allegiance to Ukraine. Some of these are, Jews married with Ukrainians and they moved to Israel, and whatever the case might be. I'm pretty sure they did that. In addition to the substantial evidence of Israelis' involvement in the war in Ukraine in favor of Kiev against Russia, Israeli newspaper Yedioth Achronot reported last March that a secret Israeli involvement in the war in Ukraine in favor of Kiev against... Oh no, I read that one. Israeli newspaper Yedioth Achronot reported last March that a secret Israeli training unit of elite graduates is training Ukrainians to fight the Russian army. And then I'm going to the other side, the other title, Israeli pressured to deliver millions in strategic materials to Kiev. Obviously the Americans pressured Tel Aviv, the Israelis, but the Israelis did not do it directly. They used the weasel country, NATO country, third party. And they were warned by Medvedev, I know that from different sources, accredited sources, that if you do this, this is crossing a line that's going to deteriorate our Russian-Israeli relations. So the Israeli occupation has been exposed to have been covertly sending weapons to Ukraine after it was pressured by the United States to do so. No surprise there. The Israeli occupation That's all right. Israel spent millions of dollars to appease its Western partners by procuring undisclosed strategic materials for Ukraine after Tel Aviv faced pressure to send the arms to Kiev via a third country. The Israel Haaretz newspaper reported on Thursday, citing sources familiar with the matter. Yes, this article is from today, which is the 17th of November 2022. Reportedly, the United States is the party that pressured the occupation being Israel, which had to go against its proclaimed stance to only send humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. Israeli occupation media reported in mid-September that an Israeli arms manufacturer was supplying anti-UAV systems to Ukraine via Poland, with the sales conducted through Warsaw to circumvent Tel Aviv's refusal to sell advanced arms to Ukraine. The firm reportedly informed the Israeli Ministry of Security that it was selling arms to Poland, though it pretended not to know the latter was giving the weapons to Kiev to use against Russia. Reportedly, the Biden administration demanded the occupation, which is Israel, to switch from strictly providing humanitarian supplies and expanding its assistance to Ukraine and give military equipment, prompting Tel Aviv to fund the purchase of strategic materials for Ukraine, including air defense systems, Haaretz reported. Interestingly enough, Ukrainian ambassador to Israel, now that's important, Yevgen Kornichuk, told The Hill newspaper in late October that Kiev requested that the US put pressure on Tel Aviv to deliver weapons to Ukraine and monitor Israel compliance with imposed sanctions on Moscow. The Americans, I'm quoting, the Americans are the only country that Israel is listening to. I think it's the other way around, but anyway. Kornichuk told the newspaper, pointing out that relations between Ukraine and Tel Aviv have expanded during the past period on some technical issues related to defense, which included advanced missile warning systems. The agreement to deliver undisclosed strategic materials, reached via a second NATO member state that already supplies Ukraine with arms, saw Israel spending millions of dollars on military assistance to Ukraine. Former Russian president and senior Russian Security Council member Dmitry Medvedev in October warned Israel against providing weapons to Ukraine, threatening that any move to boost Kiev arsenal would severely damage bilateral relations. Following Russian threats to Tel Aviv, senior advisor to the Ukrainian president Mikhail Podolyak slammed the Israel decision not to supply Ukraine with air defense systems, stating that, and I'm quoting, Israel choose to be on the wrong side of history, blah, blah, blah. And that is caused great disappointment in Ukrainian society. Again, blah, blah, blah. The Israeli occupation also agreed to allow NATO to supply Kiev with weapons that have Israeli produced components, such as optical equipment and fire monitoring systems. Haaretz said exactly a month ago, Israeli occupation so-called Minister of Diaspora Affairs, Nachman Shai, called on Israel to arm Ukraine as NATO and US are doing. Shai was the Israeli occupation forces spokesperson during the Gulf War in 1991 and was labeled by Israeli occupation media as the IOF's most trusted voice during the Gulf War. There, and I'm quoting, there is no longer any doubt where Israel should stand in this bloody conflict. The time has come for Ukraine to receive military aid as well, just as USA and NATO countries provide, end quote, he said in a tweet on his personal account. Whew. All right, so I don't think my gut feelings tell me that Israel is supplying Kiev with something. Do I have any evidence? Aside from these guys and other articles that say that they do it through third parties? Not really. I think there were some, how they call them, some armored vehicles that were Israelis. I think they operate in Ukraine somehow, provided by we don't know who. There were some articles I did not want to talk about them. It was just that piece of news, and I was waiting for something more complex, like this article, to mention that. So there were some armored vehicles of Israeli manufactured by Israeli and by Israel, and they were used by the Ukrainians, and they wonder how in the hell they got over there. Well, how? Pak, 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 boom, 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 zoop, right there. Very simple. You follow this pak, 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 boom, 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 zoop, and you're in. So, regarding the mercenaries, I cannot exclude that possibility as helping Israel, helping somehow Kiev in a certain way or another through fifth NATO country, blah blah blah, zoop zoop zoop, bam bam zoop, whatever. Anyway, but as I said, who doesn't? They're gonna make money. They have orders. They have connections, and the Russians know. I guarantee you, the Russians know. But probably the Russians are not that annoyed. So they say, okay, you know, that's fine. They say, okay, this is the line right here, but they actually meant the line is right here. So the other way around. So the line is right here, but they mean right here. So they let you cross this a little bit, but you still don't get to the line where they really care. So say this is the right here is the red line in the sand. You should not cross, but they actually have in mind about 2 feet towards them, right here. And these guys here, okay, we're gonna come here. Ah, yeah, we crossed it. Yeah. But actually, they're far away from where the line actually is. I think that's what the Russians do. So they say, hey, don't cross that line, hey, blah, 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 knowing that the idiots will cross it a little bit, but they will not get to the actual red line that they really care. Pay attention to that and see. But maybe they're not going to react anyway. They're going to have airplanes in a few. The Ukrainians, they're going to have tanks. They have tanks already. Slovenia is going to provide about 80, right? Helicopters from Czech Republic. Next one is going to be MiG-29s. I think they're already getting that ready. And then it's going to be F-16s flown by Ukrainian crews. Yeah, okay. Like the how do you call them? Was it the Vietnamese or was the Koreans? The Koreans were flying the M15, the MiG-15. Remember that one? Hey, and they were speaking Russian. That's how the Americans say, wait a minute, those are not Korean pilots, those are Russians. Again, MiG-15, beautiful airplane. Just check it out. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.